So, like I said, we can actually use what's called the Dynamo player, which is actually, you don't need to have Dynamo running. Once you've created the script, you can actually use it interactively with your design. So here I am with the interface open, the Dynamo player, and I'll show you how to start that up. It's the one that's grayed out up there on the top right. But I made all of the controls inputs now, and I've deleted the existing ribs that were in here. There's a little bit of a problem with permanence of the ribs, and I haven't exactly figured out how at first it was dynamically deleting them, but now it doesn't seem to be doing that. But anyway, what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead. I've opened up the Dynamo player, and I'm going to hit run. And now that's going to go ahead and place all of the ribs in that scene. And it'll do it on the fabrication sheet also. Although I've lost my dimensioning because I went down to 0 ribs, and all of a sudden there was nothing for the dimensions to hang on to, so they were deleted. Anyway, so here, just to show you how you can flex this, and actually this is where we get to the point of being able to be interactive and design with our client. So let's say I'm just going to undo this so these disappear, and I kind of like that number of ribs, but let me just show you how you could change. Let's say we decided to go back to the old ugly rib style. Just as an example. Excuse me while it's a long list because everything's in here. I wonder where, there it is. Try rib 1. And we'll go ahead and run that with rib 1. And there's the old style rib. Obviously, we're not interested in that, but I was just showing you how you can go through and reselect just about any component you wanted to. I'll go back to rib 2 and run that. And you can even see the flat ones are appearing here. And like I said, that's just automatically happening as it should. I'm going to go ahead and undo that again. And we'll make a couple of changes. Actually, I'll make what I think is quite an interesting change. Just change the overall height of the sculpture. I'll make it really quite short. I'll make it like 8 feet. And then I'll go ahead and rerun that. And now you can see how dynamically different our sculpture looks when we put that really low starting point, because remember that's the end of this beam is at that low starting point. So and now you can do all kinds of changes here, right? You can we can undo this, get rid of those, and we could say we want the start height to be very low, and run that again, and then we come up with another kind of version of it. So the way to, if you decide you want to go ahead and do the Dynamo player, I'm going to explain that next. The way you'd report it is to do a screenshot of this and add that to another sheet for submittal, and I'll give you extra credit for it. So let's just take a minute to see how we'd actually do this kind of functionality with the Dynamo player. So I'm going to just, because this is kind of screwy, I'm just going to undo this once, and I'm going to change the start height back up a little bit, and just rerun that. And you know, it's very nice how fast it actually does. So there we go, back to the original idea here. I'm going to close off the Dynamo player right now, and I'm going to open up Dynamo just to show you what's necessary in order for you to have this kind of functionality. So I'm going to go to Video Adaptive Rib, the file we've been working on. And the important thing here to do is really just to right-click on the things that you want to include and call them inputs. So that means that they will show up on the screen for variable inputs. And then save that file, and then you're actually able to close off Dynamo. It's no longer needed. I'll save changes here. And then when you start up your Dynamo player, you're actually going to come to a place that's a bit cryptic. Let me drag this on the screen. It'll actually look like this. It'll say Autodesk Samples on it, and it won't show anything. And you're going to click here to this folder, and you're going to add in a new navigation. So in this case, I click the plus button, and then a dialog box open. I'll go ahead and just pretend I'm going to do it again. Once again, let's say I wanted to select a new work. This is hidden a little bit. I'll go select folder. And now that's a new option that I can click on. So then I just X this off of the Dynamo player, close that back up again. Now it doesn't look like anything's changed, but now you have drop-down choices here for ways to navigate. And I have the mass timber spelled wrong, but if I go to mass timber, I come up with that video adaptive rib. And if I click on the player, it'll just run it. But if I just click anywhere on here, it'll open up all the inputs. And that's where you'll have all the flexibility to make the changes. And now the only problem I have with running these, obviously, is that the ribs keep writing over each other, so we get multiple duplicate ribs. But besides that, it seems to work pretty well. And I think it's just kind of a new insight into, how we may be able to do interactive design activities in the future. And once again, I thought it looks really cool when we just lower that height of the overall vertical elements. And once again, I made that mistake of overwriting. And actually, you could consider it a mistake, or you could just consider it, if I was to now do it again and run it. Now we have a whole new idea about a complex structure. Anyway, so you get the idea. And like I said, adding this as a screenshot to show that you created the player. And obviously, we can't do that. We could do this in Enscape and have it render in real time also. That's really not a problem. It's just interactively, I haven't started up Enscape for this example. So I find this to be really an exciting aspect of this kind of interoperability, flexibility of design in such a nice dynamic way. And I hope you will also.